Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, we have a segment about the renaming of a street on Machuwa, a conversation with the owner of Little Saigon Cafe, a report back from the May Day protest, and an in-studio interview with performance artist and Pew Fellow Karen Magic Fingers Smith. I'm your host, Chinchilla Jonicia. You don't want to miss this one. In celebration of Martin Luther King Jr.'s 96th birthday, residents, city officials, and honorees gathered to celebrate the renaming of a street sign in the neighborhood of Machuwa. In continued recognition of Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic speech at this site, Donald Terry reports.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the new Martin Luther King Jr. Triangle. This is a place where Dr. King's legacy made a stop in Machuwa Saturday, August 3rd, 1965. And we as Mantuans are so happy to celebrate this day and the renaming of the street for this particular site. This is the third leg and third act of this site. Today is a historic day for the late Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who spoke at this very site 60 years ago on Saturday, August the 3rd, 1965. Today we celebrate the third historic act that has made this location a place where people and organizations come to celebrate Dr. King's birthday and plan their day of service to honor King's memory and legacy. As we start the program, we celebrate the street renaming for the charismatic Southern Baptist minister who 8 months before visiting Philadelphia, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 and was its youngest recipient to receive the prestigious award. I found a news clip of Dr. King's visit from CBS 3 that talks a little bit about that audio.
And Dr. King had a deep connection to Philadelphia, often returning to give speeches at local colleges and churches.
And it was in 1965 that the civil rights leader delivered a historic speech at 40th and Lancaster, right in West Philadelphia. And we found some archive video of that very important moment, showing our TV coverage of the event. Take a look.
Now is the time to grant freedom to the Negro all over the United States of America. Now is the time to make America a greater nation.
Wow, more than 10,000 people came out to listen to Dr. King speak on that August 3rd, 1965, part of Dr. King's Freedom Now tour. And just 3 days later, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act. And this mural by Cliff Eubanks depicts Dr. King's historic 1965 speech. You see it right there. This is at the intersection of 40th and Lancaster in West Philadelphia. And a historical marker also commemorates the civil rights leader's effort and all of the efforts of Dr. King.
Yeah. For Joe, huh? For Joe in the house. Joe, hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray!
I can't be more honored than you can do more.
Speaking to the mic, Joe.
Listen here. I got a lot to say.
Yeah.
It's cold out here. I got a lot to say. But see, I got to give thanks first of all to you guys for coming out. Sandy Jenkins, Reverend
Andy Jenkins,
Reverend.
former Mantua community leader.
Yes. And legend, living legend. That's right.
We're following in his footsteps.
That's right.
He did so much in Mantua, we couldn't help but honor him,
That's right.
Mr. Jenkins.
Amen.
I also want to thank the Hub Coalition. All I say is say Joe Walker did this, Joe Walker did that. No, I stand on the shoulders of the Hub Coalition.
All right.
None of this could be done without my organization.
That's right.
I want to thank my family for being out here.
On your Neighborhood Heroes Legacy Award presented to Joe Walker, creator of the newly renamed MLK Triangle. We, the community of Machuwa in West Philadelphia, honor you for your passion, vision, and persistence to recreate this iconic and historic site at 40th and Lancaster Avenue of its great moment with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. visit to West Philadelphia during his Freedom Now rally tour on Saturdays, August 3rd, 1965. Your immortal gift to the community of Mantua in 2009 and the communities that surround the MLK Triangle will always be forever remembered by your peers, city officials, and residents to share in Dr. King's dream and reflect on his life for generations to come on this day, Monday, January 20th, 2025. Thank you, Joe, for giving us a town square on Lancaster Avenue. Thank you sincerely, Jim Brown, Mantua community advocate, historian, and community photojournalist.
One love.
Up next, community reporter Kaisa Morse brings us an interview with Sam, the owner of Little Saigon Cafe in Chinatown, who discusses the importance of preserving Asian heritage and culture in light of AAPI Month and the 76ers Stadium.
Name is Sam, S-A-M. This restaurant I work in now is Little Saigon Cafe. We sell Vietnamese food. We focus on the farm, okay? The very famous Vietnamese beef noodle soup. This restaurant been here 2.5 years, 3 years now. Actually, I'm from Vietnam. I'm Chinese, born and raised in Vietnam. I was over here when I was 21 years old when I was here. Back to the 80s, people call our boat people because we escaped from Vietnam by the boat by 79, that's why. That's a nickname called, in that time, they don't call it the refugee, they call it boat people. That's up there, 40 years ago. Part of the community, the Chinatown here, is different than the Chinatown in the whole country. Here, the Chinatown is small, very narrow, but it's very unique. Okay, it's been here for over 150 years now. So why I love Chinatown here? Because I feel home, feel safe. Okay, you can talk to your own people, speak your own language. Not easy to start a community. And Chinatown here start a community by an ancestor, home by home. So first thing in Chinatown is laundromat. They do a laundromat. Later on, they built up open a restaurant. Back to 80, when my times here, all restaurant. At my time, we only 1, 2, 3 grocery store. That's it. Not like this. Not like today. You got hair salon, you got jewelry store, you got everything. All built by the old generation. Things change, Get better time come by. People come together. If it's got all alley outside people come and help too. So sometimes people do different things, but we share the same goal. So you may do different things, but we all same goal against the ring. We've been fighting this nonsense for 2.5 years. In 2.5 years, and the city government passed a deal. They passed a deal. They don't care how people feel. They don't care for the community. Those politicians, okay? I can't let people coming in and destroy a culture. I just said, that's a culture. That's the treasure they leave it behind it. They gone. During the fight 2.5 years, we got all the good people come together to fight this project. So nobody like it. Not just all. It's all entire Philadelphia. And no democracy here, that's what I see. When I come from a communist, so I thought this country is a democracy. That's why I should come here. So I learned now 40 years later, still learning. It's look different. Look like the government work for rich people, not for the community, not for the poor people. We got meeting here every Tuesday during 2.5 years upstairs, second floor. Usually used for meeting, for arena. So we talk and we get frustrated. How we fight this thing? It's so much money involved. 2.5 years. We do everything we can. Protest, everything we can. Right? And still, finally, they still pass the deal. That's bad. But we not giving up. Even they pass the deal, we not giving up. We should look for the legal battle, legal way to block them, how to disrupt them, how to get them out of town. That's what we're doing. From now, it's a release. Everybody happy. Why? We can go back to our normal life. Don't worry about anything in this moment. Hopefully, Chinatown forever. Hopefully not a project coming to Chinatown anymore. Peace. That's what I hope for. The entire community is happy. Because why? They don't have to do anything further. Can we move or can we stay? Where can I move? How can I get there? Now Chinatown like this. Okay, that's what happened. So now everybody have a happy, joyful, enjoy this moment. So nothing can describe the feeling. I don't know. I love to see change in the city. Can work with us. Do an Asian museum there. That's where to attract more people to town. Good for the community. Good for the Asian people. Good for the city. That's what I think. I hope my next generation came on. I don't know. That's why hopefully they can stand up and speak out for the community and protect like I do. I'll be happy. Let people know where you're coming from, history. Not just Chinese, from everybody from Asia. Okay? Chinese, Filipino, Vietnamese, Cambodian, whatever, Laos, all Pakistan, everything together. That's learn history. I think that's going to be an amazing thing if you can make it happen, believe me. I think it's great for Chinatown, for the community, for everybody. That's what I think, and that's it. All right? Hopefully, one day it will happen.
Thousands gathered in Center City, Philadelphia for a May Day rally protesting Donald Trump and Elon Musk administration. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders joined the protesters to call for higher wages and better working conditions. Community reporter Christian Lee has more.
The streets of Philadelphia echoed with calls for justice on a sunny May 1st. It was International Workers' Day, and this year it wasn't just a local affair. Diana Robinson from Make the Road, Pennsylvania, brought her organization with one message.
So today's a day of celebration of workers around the world, and we're here as workers, as immigrants, as people who contribute to our communities to say that we should be workers, people over billionaires.
Hundreds of protesters gathered outside of City Hall, where Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders joined the labor leaders and workers demanding better working conditions.
Brothers and sisters, what we are celebrating today in May Day is, in a sense, a sacred holiday.
The rally was organized by the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, or the AFL-CIO.
And today we thank our brothers and sisters in the trade union movement.
May Day rallies have long been a symbol of international solidarity among workers. People representing all different causes were present at the event.
But I'm also an environmental justice activist, and what's happening in terms of the climate, we're just going backwards.
Ingrid Lakey is a Quaker activist who emphasized one message.
We have got to be on fire to protect what we care about, whether it's the planet, whether it's our jobs, whether it's our immigrant friends and neighbors. All of those, we need the fire, and I think Bernie brings us the fire.
When talking to people attending the rally, some people said that the energy around was uplifting.
It's great. People are being very, very nice, and it's actually it's a great vibe here today.
It's been great. It's great to see people out in the street, people together celebrating, but also calling out injustices. So it's really great to be all together in unity, people from across the world, but also across Philadelphia coming together to say we are united.
I see a collective, and this collective is growing, my friend. We are in a growing phase, and that's part of what helps me get up every day.
The May Day rally is a part of Bernie Sanders' tour across America. His tour has spanned from New York to Alaska. Reporting for PhillyCAM, I'm Christian Lee.
And to close out the show, joining us in the studio is Karen Magic Fingers Smith, a performance artist, a 2025 Black Music City grantee, a 2024 Illuminate the Arts grantee, and a 2023 Pew Fellow. Here she is in conversation with community reporter Sheila Lorette Emerson. Welcome to the studio, Karen and Sheila.
Karen Magic Fingers Smith is a percussionist, poet, playwright, producer, and director. For more than 10 years, Karen Smith has been taking her drums on the road with her movement, Have Drums, Will Travel Immediately. Karen has performed both nationally and internationally, and as Karen has climbed higher and higher in her achievements, not only does she remember those who have helped her along the way, she also reaches back to uplift others. Performing with Karen is drummer extraordinaire, Brother Mike. Thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you.
Brother Mike, Karen.
So glad to be here. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. So, Karen, you originally are from New York.
Brooklyn, New York, yes.
Okay, and transplanted to Philly.
Yeah.
You have built quite a supportive community. How exactly did you do that?
I think it's just really coming here with a lot of interest in the arts and experience and kind of finding out where do I put that. So I think it started with theater, the Freedom Theater to Painted Bride to some of the more local theaters, and then I Scribe at the time, and just various people I would meet and have conversations with and slowly let them know what I do. But I just needed to observe. It was more observing at first, and then kind of came with, what I had to offer. Just making sure, I was going down the right avenues first.
Okay. And then when you say going down the right avenues and in terms of discerning your support community, how are you able to say, okay, this person, I want to pull them closer, that one can stay over there?
That's trial and error in life. I can't say I didn't have plenty of that. But I feel that, overall, you can't change that either. That's how the checks and balances, where you need to be, where you don't need to be, who you need to be there with or not, You gotta let the experience happen and learn from that. So, yeah, I don't think you can avoid that. That's just life, per se.
So, here's another question. I know that when we talked, before this evening, you said that your sister passed the baton to you. What did you mean by that? Which sister are we talking about, and what baton was passed to you?
Yeah, my sister Barbara, who's like 15 years older than I, she passed away in transition in 2007, and in my early years, she was the one taking me out to see live theater, dance, all kind of cultural stuff, films, independent films, and things like that. And she worked behind the scenes and did film work and photography. And so my interest started from just watching her and realizing, you know, that she was passing the baton to me because she exposed me to so much. That's where a lot of my training came from, kind of like being there on different sets and things like that, seeing it live, like here at PhillyCAM, seeing things being created on the grassroots level and beyond. So yeah, it was kind of like that.
Okay. And so it sounds like your sister was in was a creative like you.
Yeah, she was definitely a creative person.
Okay, so the baton she passed was.
Yep, it was taking that baton, but I had to run with it. I couldn't just hold it and stand there and figure out what I'm supposed to do with it. It's like, nope, you know, I had to go with it, you know. So with each day, those trials and errors, you know, that's how I learned to where to go, and eventually it brought me here to Philadelphia.
Okay, so you talk about how you had to take the baton and run with it.
Run with it, yeah.
So in terms of running with that baton, was like, what was that road, what did that road look like? Was it like, did you jump right into being a full-time performing artist? Did you work with a 9-to-5 job with benefits and a paycheck? Like what did that look like?
I did all that. You know, I did jump right into it to jump right back out and get a so-called real job. And then when that wasn't working out and I wasn't happy, then erase the so-called real job and jump back into doing the arts in some shape or form until I found that balance, which was going to work. Because the last time I jumped into a so-called 9-to-5 secure job or whatever that had nothing to do with the arts, I realized that, you know, and that wasn't that really that long ago, that this is not working. This is not making me happy inside. And that's the most important thing, to, you know, follow your passion. Because yeah, you can have a job, you know, I'm not knocking people who do have so-called regular jobs, whatever that may mean to you. But that didn't work for me. I'm an artist, and I just, you know, I needed to be true to that. You know, life is too short. So it really, I had to find what worked. And once I found it, you know, or it found me, maybe we met together, you know, we were on the same page this time, it was on. You know.
Okay.
I really could hold on that baton, and I can also now pass it to somebody else, which I think I have. And I think of my nephew here too.
Okay. Question, when you say that you did the full-time job and then
I did all that, yeah.
You did all that, and now you're a full-time
independent.
Okay. How so many people try to do what you did, which is go from working full-time to being a full-time creative. How did you do that? How did you make that jump? Because I believe I read a quote something about that you said that around 2018, 2019, you realized you didn't have to look for gigs anymore.
Right.
How did that happen?
Sonia Sanchez said to me, she said, visibility, then revenue. And so at that time, I thought I was doing all the visibility. I was out there, I was hustling, et cetera, and it just wasn't working. I wasn't bringing enough home. You know, I was getting ready to be evicted from my apartment, true story. And I'm like, well, what is she talking about? Because this was making me mad, you know. I mean, I'm very visible. But the visibility is up here. You got to see it, you know, and then they will see it. But the visibility, really, you got to see it. You really got to see it, your art, whatever that is. And you have to be true to that and believe it. It's faith, you know. So faith without works is dead. So I'm saying that's what I had to do. I had to really see it and believe it. And then it started shifting. It really did. It started shifting. I really believed in what I was doing, you know. And I said, all I have to do is continue to be resourceful. I don't need a so-called 9-to-5, but I need to continue to be resourceful. But make sure it's something to do with the arts, because that's the only thing that's going to make me happy. And not necessarily administratively, but just something to do with the arts. So, you know, and that's what I did. And that's when, slowly but surely, you know, juggling all these different things, I could take some of those balls down and you know, focus more on, you know, my drum, and then eventually, you know, I'm a playwright, so I can focus on that now. I'm a director. You know, all the things started coming in place. So the shift started happening somewhere by 2018, 2019, where, you know, I wasn't looking for gigs anymore. They were calling me. To this day, knock on wood, they still calling me for different things. I don't, you know, I do this much networking and a lot of referrals.
Okay, I love it.
And I pass them on to him sometimes too. You know, he gets it as well.
One more question before we run out of time. One of the things that you shared with me that really piqued my interest is that you play the drums as people are transitioning from this life.
Yes.
And I wanted to hear more about that. How did you get into that? What is that like?
My cousin, who also a professional drummer, he said the drum is very spiritual. The African drum more than anything else. He said, and so it led me. I didn't know I was going to be doing that. Because I really started with even my sister, bringing the drum to the hospital where she was and playing, and she started tapping her foot because she was, heavily medicated, but she was tapping her foot. And I realized, oh, she can really hear this, I felt like, another opportunity came much later on, made me realize I should continue that. But I still see her too, to this day, tapping her foot. I knew that this is more than just me going to clubs or wherever making money. There was another connection that needed to happen too. And so I do a lot of that with hospice care, people dealing with dementia, Parkinson's, whatever. The drum speaks, and it speaks very loud.
Okay. And then I know both of you work with children.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we talk a little bit about that? And I know that Brother Mike loves working with children.
I love the kids.
He loves the kids.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you like? Do you go into schools? Do you go to daycare centers? Like, what do you do?
The scope is as big as there are children that exist in the world. Whether I'm going to schools or rec centers or even like police programs. I'm creating the space now while they're young, or they have a voice, or they can be heard, and connecting them to something deeper so they can feel identity beyond just the music. And then we just have fun.
Yeah.
You can be with an adult
really
and have fun. You can play, you can express yourself. It's okay. And giving sometimes the teachers and staff like principles and tools on how to engage with tough emotional regulation, with neurodivergence. This is also a tool to connect with all types of neurodivergence.
I love it. And it sounds like you create a space for people and children to feel safe.
Yes.
And express themselves. It doesn't have to be perfect and regimented. So I love that. Thank you both so much for joining me this evening. Before you close out, I just want to thank you all so much for joining in with this episode. You can also watch our show on YouTube and Roku, and follow us at PhillyCAM on Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next time, and we're going to close out with Brother Mike and Magic Fingers Karen Smith.
You ready, Auntie?
Make something happen. Whoa.